and all patent related work in a company called Interest. We do a lot of patent related work for our US clients. Before this, I was in EBTC and closely associated with EPO, and therefore I thought it would be good if I could probably share my knowledge with you. So the topic which is actually provided to me is patent landscape, a tool for R&D and innovation. Now, a patent landscape is nothing but what you can say a current state of technology taken all together. But before I start, I understand probably you would have known what exactly is patent is and how do you get all those stuff. So let me ask you a very simple question. Okay, why do we actually accumulate patents? Why do we want to get patents in our name or in organization's name? Okay, why can't we normally do away? Because that question basically would give you the path why landscapes are important. A landscape is important, but because we protect patents, okay, and we also want to understand what exactly it wants to do. So before I give the answer, anyone who is interested in answering something, what is a patent landscape? Oh, sorry. Why do we accumulate patents?
To eliminate competition.
To
eliminate competition.
To limit the competition. Okay. Sorry?
To make money out of it.
Okay. So you basically want to commercialize. Okay. So we have it for various purposes, including someone said limiting others from not using the patent. Secondly, someone said we want to make money. It's a negative, right? We want to eliminate others from not making use of our inventions. And the landscape becomes extremely important because when you want to do, say, you want to find a new technology. I'm working on, say, Bluetooth, okay, but I want to make it, say, enhanced Bluetooth network, wherein I can have multiple devices with one single Bluetooth. Suppose I want to do this. Now, how do I start with? I need to have a base document. I need to understand what is the technology around me. And I also need to understand who has developed what. Okay. Now, if I need to understand all this, I would probably require some accumulation, some analytics which has to be done on the patents in that space. And that is exactly what is known as patent landscape.
Arvind, can I just interrupt? Is it
Yeah.
possible? Is it a good idea to interrupt you and ask questions as you go along?
Yeah,
or do you
sure.
keep it for the end?
No, sure. Please go ahead at any point of time.
Sure, thanks.
Okay. I would love to, at least I know someone is
So there's some interaction.
At least I know one is listening. Okay, to be fair to everyone. So this is exactly why now suppose I want to do a landscape on Bluetooth. What I will do is I will prepare all the people who have filed patents under Bluetooth. I will prepare maps around it. I will see who is filing what, who has protected what. You would understand and appreciate that claims are basically the legal rights of a patent. You write anything in the patent, what you protect is only the claim parts. So I want to understand what is the broadness of the claims. Okay, what is the citation of the claim? What is a citation? Anyone?
References.
References. Okay, so either forward or backward. But why do we reference it? Why should we reference it?
To distinguish. So that this is prior art. And
Fine, we can everything else where Bluetooth is written is also a prior art.
yeah.
So why don't we reference everything?
Yeah, prior art. You reference the nearest ones.
So the references are basically when you do prosecution, you file disclosures saying that this is the technology which was available, which I have seen, and tell the examiner that I am also I want to show you this technology. At the same time, I want you to examine this and say that my invention is different. Okay, it is also a way of limiting. And sometimes the examiner will find the references as EPO does by doing searches, what is known as the full search, and provide you with the references that these are the closest references and these are the anticipation basis. And those references are then cited. You basically prosecute against them, and once they are prosecuted, they appear in the patent. So that is the one. So I want to see what are the citations in my particular patents. what all I can protect. So a citation would have a claim which is on that technology area, mine is different. What is the space I have between 2-3 claims that I can actually protect?
Question.
Yeah,
As you allowed.
sure, please go ahead.
For me to be able to claim something,
Yeah.
I have to distinguish myself not merely from what has been claimed by others, but what has been disclosed by others.
Yeah.
It may not have been claimed.
Yeah.
So why should I look at claims? I should look at everything, the entire description, even what is unclaimed, so that I can show myself to be different.
That's right.
So why claim?
By claim, I am seeing the claims here because I am protecting something, okay, which I want to be within the boundaries where no one overlaps with me.
Somebody can overlap without claiming. You can overlap by having it
That is
disclosed.
prior art. That is
Yes,
prior art. In
right.
that case, you will not get a patent.
That's what I'm saying is the purpose of a landscape is to identify white spaces where I can do research.
Right.
And it should not be limited to claim. It should be limited to full disclosure anywhere in description of any patent.
That is the aspect of patentability. So I'll give you when I come to white spaces.
Shall we come to the purpose of a landscape? Why am I doing a landscape?
Okay, I'll come to that. Okay, so let me come to next slide before I get the continuity. The idea basically, the content division is like what is the use and purpose. Okay. The second one is how do we interpret and analyze claims. What is the methodology? I have done very briefly. Probably when we do patent landscapes, it is almost 3 months or 4 months on a technology area. White space analysis is something what we were discussing right now. We will come to that. Technology lifecycle management, what is the bell shape where the incremental innovation should appear, how to basically manage that. Technology forecasting. A patent is one of the tools where even in the literature you will not find the whatever is technically available in a patent. So in a way, a patent discloses much more than what your IEEE or non-patent literature could actually give you. Gap analysis, that is exactly what you were asking. Gap analysis is basically finding the gaps. Okay, it may or may not be patentable. Okay, I am doing a landscape with a free mind of identifying the areas where I can do. Once I find the features that these are the available spaces, I will revisit and do a full patentability search on each of the features, whether that is patentable or not. So I am currently seeing the claims because I am avoiding that. If it is already in the claims, I am automatically out. But for 50,000 documents, I cannot see all the description except Control F. That's the reason why I said
It's a limitation because of a practical limitation.
Practical limitation, yeah. Okay.
If you could, you would.
I would, for example, I did the generation landscape. This is the one which I am showing is Internet on Things. Now this has got on EPO GPI database, which is their major database, which has got huge number of documents. I wrote Internet and Things as keywords to find the broadest available. I had somewhere around 12,153 patents. Okay. Now out of this, even if I suppress the families, I still have around 10,000. Mind you, this is not all the subset. I have still not used this. I thought I will do it on security. When I tried to do it on security, I still had 7,000 patents.
So why not deal with 7,000?
Sorry?
Why not deal with 7,000?
How much can you read?
Don't read. Analyze.
Yeah, that's so you can only analyze graphics, not each word.
No, you can.
At least
Okay.
the limitation for us, I'll tell you practically. I'm sure researchers can do it, but limitation for us is
You're obviously not talking of manual analysis. You're talking of analysis by some means.
you can do any analysis. Any search engine in this world cannot come out with the syntactic meaning. The semantic meaning, sorry.
Semantic.
Yeah. So unless you read it, okay, you are going to miss the major thing. And for our clients, we have huge penalty clauses. Okay, if I miss something, I am going to pay a huge amount of money. Okay, because their whole R&D depends on my research work. Okay, so I have my legal bindings. So I will use my disclaimers properly and will not try to do something which I would have done in PhD at IIT. Okay, so because I can write, I can still go away. I can say sorry. But here there is
No, that disclaimer protects you. You can do anything and get away with it. That's
No,
fine.
but it shows, I have to write clearly what I have done,
Yes.
why I have not done, what is the time frame. So I have given, for example, for a big landscape, I have given 1,000 hours. So I am paid by per hour basis.
Yeah.
I have given 1,000 hours of payment. So I cannot work 5,000 hours because I have to manage the profitability of the company. That is the idea. Okay, can I come to next please? Okay, what is a landscape? I have my own definition, there may be difference, so I think many people would simply start asking questions. So I'll just clarify. It's a snapshot of the current situation of specific technology which is 18 months old. Why I'm saying 18 months old? Because, yes, everyone knows.
Under the radar.
Yeah, so the ones which are still under not published are not taken into account. Okay, but I have a way and means, that is my trade secret, I'm not going to tell you. Okay. Available in public domain in a specific geography. My landscape also depends whether I'm doing a landscape for India, I'm doing it globally, or I'm going to do it for two regions, say for Europe, like for EPO they might use all the countries which are accredited. So I want to define my boundaries in the landscape, and that comes in the landscape definition itself. And then what is the area of interest? I can have level 1, level 2, level 3 kind of thing. Some people, for example, one of our clients only wanted within Internet of Things, within that I want aggregated security as one of the research areas. So I only need to look at those patterns where we have aggregated security, where there is broadcasting happening, where there is a lot of packet data or enhanced packet transfers. So I have to see what are the areas. So I create a taxonomy and then work on it. Okay. And what is the use of the analysis of the pattern? Policy discussion. I have taken very broad things. People would not appreciate that, but policy discussion is one of the things. How many of you know DPC?
No, what is it?
There is a list of drugs which come under the protected list, okay, for which they cannot charge more money, generic drugs. Okay. You will appreciate the fact that many of these pharmaceuticals, even at the global level, when I was in EU, they had this affordable health initiatives come under this. Now, how do I know what are the vaccines being developed in worldwide, and how can I manage the policy? Because if you get a patent, okay, it's a complete patent. You have that right. It has been given to you by government. So when the policies are discussed, especially in pharmaceuticals, they need to understand, for example, dengue vaccine. It's been going worldwide. There is a lot of intellectual property. So people are saying how to manage it. Now, for managing that intellectual property, you need to see the landscape of dengue vaccine being developed worldwide. Once I am going to see that, I understand what are the researches going on, what are the patents have been filed. I can get those assignees, I can contact them, and then you have the Patent Act where you have certain restrictions, like for example for healthcare, for some compulsory licensing, you can actually go around. So it is also used in policy framework, but we use it purely for research purpose. Okay, strategic research planning, that's what our use is, and technology transfer. What is strategic research planning? I have seen, I want to enter an area. This I did it. What we call is, as in patent language, design arounds. Okay, I have a list of patents who have claims, and the reasons are why I was saying claims. When I have the claims, I only need to understand if I move around the claims, at least someone can invalidate my patent, but someone cannot enforce infringement notices on me. In US, willful infringement, what is called, is 3 times costlier than the normal one. How many of you know, long back when I was not 10 years back, how many would have you seen the most popular camera was Kodak? If you see in India, सब जगह Kodak लगा रहता था. It has disappeared. Anyone knows the story? Okay, there was a company called Polaroid. They had instant camera. Okay, so they made instant cameras. Kodak thought that it is a very good market, and they also made this. They had a full legal team who analyzed all the patents, said that it is a design around, and they started preparing it, flooded the market. Later on, infringement notices were sent by Polaroid, and then it disappeared. The company altogether disappeared. Okay, so something what is known as willful infringement, I want to avoid. I can let my patent go invalidated because that is not a big cost for me. But if I do an infringement and that too willful, I am out of business. So that is one reason why we normally look at claims. Analyze validity of patents, this is what I was explaining now, and monitor the direction of technology. Sometimes, I'll give you a very important aspect. How many of you know cement industry? Everyone would probably understand cement. How many, there are so many cement companies in India, multinationals. Can you differentiate between two type of cements? सबसे ज़्यादा मैंने डिफरेंशिएशन देखा है वो एक बांगर सीमेंट में आता है, भूसा मारता है, कहता है सबसे मजबूत, बस. और and the other one which I have seen वो एक कोई आता है, ये लाल सीमेंट है, इसमें जंग नहीं लगता, पता नहीं, इसके अलावा कुछ नहीं होता है. The cement industry is actually had no innovations. Okay, so if the technology is stagnant, okay, you understand that if nothing has happened, there is almost nothing. So you try to work around in incremental innovations. So my curve in technology defines where I need to stop thinking radically different and where I need to. You can of course have a radical one, and that would be the most critical invention, but that would come once a century. Okay, it will not come daily. So by seeing my curve, I can actually find out where the technology would take a dip, and if the technology has become like a constant curve, you are dead sure based on the historical data that there can be incremental innovations. So now let me coming back to the cement example. So what did cement now achieves? Environmental friendly machines, energy efficiency, okay, process enhancement. These are the innovations which are filed in cement industry. The kiln remains the same. Okay, the meter, the dimensions of the kiln may change, utilization ratios may change, the amount of energy which is huge required in cement for doing a process in a kiln changes. Okay, so how much heat has to be used, how much heat can be absorbed, all this changes, but the technology is constant. Okay, if someone finds some new kind of a kiln apart from vertical and horizontal, please let me know. Okay, so that is it. Can I move it, please? Okay, so what do I do with the interpretation and analysis? I do business intelligence. Now how do I do business intelligence? Well, I gave you one example about the cement one. The second one which I do is, I want to hire a group of people, okay, for setting up a company which is going to be extraordinary like Apple. What do? I basically prepare a landscape. I do the analysis of inventors against filing. And I see these 4 inventors are very good. They have been inventing over long periods of time. So this is one way of understanding who's inventing what and where is the geographical location. One of the good things is thematic maps. When you do a landscape, if you don't suppress the families and you cluster them around it, and you take a set of patents and you say where are the innovation areas, okay, you will find that there are 7 or 8 innovation centers around the world. Okay, now China is also coming up, there are some places. So you can actually find out where is that. For example, if you said semiconductor, the obvious choice would be Silicon Valley, but Silicon Valley may be too costly for you. So you want to get to somewhere where you have this material and all those things available, manpower, skilled labor. So you can also decide from the landscape where are the innovation hubs for a particular kind of technology. That can be seen in a landscape. Other business intelligence, as I told you, the curves, technology curves, the islands, I can show you. Okay, I'll come to it later. Okay, technology commercialization. If you see your patent is critical, it has been referenced by many patents. Okay, forward referencing, and it doesn't reference a lot of backward references. You are basically sitting on a critical patent. You know this can be commercialized. This is the base of the technology from which incremental innovations would come out. So you can actually use that as a commercialization pointer. Okay. Freedom to operate searches, I think Madam gave a good presentation, I was not here. She really gave. And then major holders and assignees, as I told you, you can see which are the companies who are innovating, where do you need to cross-license, where do you need to in-license, where do you need to license out. Okay. Sometimes we use landscape for acquiring a particular technology stack, okay, just to build upon my area. For example, I need Bluetooth technologies. I would find out like ZTE and others and basically acquire a portion of technology to be used in my different areas such as washing machines if I want to use them. Incidentally, this kind of thing, if I'm correct and remember correctly, happened for smart meter companies when they needed communication. So they are basically, the core invention for them is the electrical distribution and others, but they needed communication devices like self-healing routers. So they basically acquired it from Cisco and others. Licensing, cross-licensing know-how that you can always do from this. It's very simple, as I told you. Identifying existing solutions and technologies for technical problems. Okay, this is basically used for design rounds. I have a particular landscape and I have a particular technology. I can, looking at the landscape and clustering a patent around that particular feature, I can find what are the patents. I can read different solutions enabled in a patent, okay, and from that solutions, if you use, there are some techniques, I'm not remembering that famous Russian scientist technique. It's a very famous technique for innovation. Trace. Yeah, if you do trace or fishbone diagrams, you can actually come out with some new innovation. That is one way of using a landscape to doing incremental innovations. You may not come out exactly, but you would know how to go around it if you read a lot of technical literature. And remember that technical literature which is sometimes described in a patent is not even described in publications for the simple reason that company normally sometimes keeps it as a trade secret and does not want to make known to the competitors that they are working on this technology. So they will quietly write few paragraphs in the patent document and not even ask their inventors to publish anywhere. Okay. And the patent would be for 1.5 years will be sitting with the patent office, so there is no way of knowing it. Okay. What else you can see? You can basically see why someone has filed lot of patents in a particular year and not filed for next 5 years. Okay. What could be the reason? Why it is so? I'll see this diagram. And then strategic R&D planning. Whenever you are a big company like ARM or something where you basically produce designs for licensing, it's a big strategic tool for you. You need to understand where the technology is going. If I am preparing VLSI designs for chips, for mobile chips, I need to understand where the mobile technology is going. Which country, how it is progressing. Which country is moving to which kind of structure. For example, 4G has WiMAX and LTE. Two kind of technologies. LTE basically comes from Europe side and WiMAX is somewhere in Korea. So they have different kind of technologies. If I have to develop these materials, I need to understand what is the technology which is there in a particular geographical location and also see the filing trends. Do you see a filing trend in WiMAX in 4G in South Korea? Do you see a filing trend in Europe? Okay, is South Korea transacting from WiMAX to LTE? All this information you can do it from a landscape. Okay, can you go ahead? Yeah. Okay, how do you do? No one can actually teach you, but these are few steps for the simple reason that you learn by doing it. And you learn by making mistakes. Even after 10 years of doing landscape searches, I myself find myself as a learner. Every time I do it, I find a new way of doing something, or I understand, okay, this information was not required. So you keep on learning with it. Simple, use a very broad query. Okay. One of the ways of knowing whether your query is broad enough is to use only 2 keywords. Okay. And then use the combinational stuff in a manner that the subset size does not reduces more than 10%. For example, if I use internet and think for IoT technologies, and then I say internet or www or all these stuff, and then again do it, it should not increase more than 10%. Otherwise, the technologies are moving offline. So you have to be there. And similar is the case for invalidation searches. When I was in one of the biggest companies who was into this space and wanted to do invalidation, their lawyers told me, you can only use one single keyword string. So one search query, and you have to funnel it down. You can remove keywords, but you cannot add keywords. So you have to write it in such a way, and that is what is known as the funneling approach, and that is what we practice. Categorize the patent into published, and this you can always do. If you want to see, if you want to make different landscapes, you do it. If you want to make a single for both of them, depends on the objective of the landscape. Level 1, okay, taxonomy, Internet of Things. Then whether it is WiMAX or this, what is the protocol, what is the security, second level. Third level, within security, what kind of enablement I am using, is it packet security, is it IP6, so that is the third level. So you can go till nth level, it all depends upon how much money and time you have to do a landscape. Okay, what does your client wants you to do, how much time he has given, so the levels of taxonomy is decided by these. And then create a visual representation, which I am going to show you, okay, of top assignees. Let's move this forward. I have already taken a lot of time. So this is, for example, this is IoT, Internet of Things, which is most contemporary to this. This has been generated by EPO tool called GPI, okay, and it had around 12,000 patents. So I took up the top 20 or 50, something of that sort. So now I want to see. So Microsoft Corporation has 503 patents. You search on your any database, paid or not paid, it will not show you a single patent. Why? Because Microsoft has holding companies which are doing research in this area. Okay, so you have to be very intelligent to find out which are the holding companies of a particular entity, when to categorize them and bring them to a single structure, and when to not them. You see, I think there is also another example. No, it's not there. Okay, but these are the companies which are doing active research in the area of internet.
So how do you identify the holding company?
So in Delaware Titans or in Delphian, you have this holding company structure wherein if you click that, it includes the patent of the holding companies. In this case, what would happen is, like in India, even in US, it will say Colgate Palmolive, then it will say Colgate Palmolive Limited, it will say then Colgate Incorporated. Okay, one way is visual inspection. You can, where you see this Colgate Palmolive as a single entity, you can broadly club them into a single one. That comes in the search. So in this case, I have used Excel and then put them, used all the holding companies and aggregated it into a single structure. Okay, then now what all information, business intelligence you can derive from it. Okay, now my business intelligence on this is, I can say that, okay, this is the highest holding company, but if I do a corresponding map, I didn't include it this time, but yesterday it was there in the presentation, wherein you do the quality of the patents versus the number of patents. So you analyze the quality and the percentage on different axes, and where you find that maybe Qualcomm is leading. It has small number of patents but on diverse areas. Microsoft could have, for example, let's say I have this mic. Microsoft has, suppose Microsoft has developed this mic, okay, I can file patent for a hand mic, for a collar mic, okay, for a mic in a car. How many patents I have? Hundreds of patents. But the technology is similar. So the quality of patent and the quantity of patent has to be analyzed in any case. So that becomes an important criteria. Okay. Now, if you see, like for example, Rockwell Automation. Okay, Rockwell Automation, if I am correct, is is not related to telecom, or Novel. So they are doing internet on things on a different scale. So what are my objectives? If my objectives are different, I can delete them from this. and then reanalyze to the segment which I am looking for. For example, if I am only looking for telecom, I can eliminate some of them like Noble, okay, then I can actually, unfortunately everyone is doing telecom these days, so just can't remove. Thomson licensing I can remove, okay. So I basically make it, Facebook I can move, although it is again Internet on Things, it's somewhat related to telecom. Very difficult in this criteria, but in specific instances where we have level 3 searches, we can eliminate that. Can you move ahead please? Oh, okay. So one way of actually categorizing leveling when I don't have lot of time, I do it using the classes. So if I have a class structure here, which is the IPC class, okay, what I do is I see what are the patterns in a particular class, and in GPI, this is created in GPI, okay, thanks to Gino for somehow arranging or at least letting it work for me. And the bubble size, if I click on this, because this is a picture, I can see how many documents they have. So the size of bubble represents the number of documents. Okay. So for example, this one, research in motion, has a big bubble. So it has a lot of patterns in that particular subclass, in that particular area. So I can basically, subclasses are nothing but the limit levels. So it could be like under security IP6 or something, and I can actually from this visual find out, okay, which is the class of interest to us, and then I can move those patterns and do a in-depth study of that particular area. So that is another way I can do. What else I can do? Okay. Now, if you see, this is the most, or this is the most, these two are the most hot classes. Now I want to analyze why Internet on Things are all these two classes, what is happening there. So from the visual inspection, I can have clues of doing research on a particular area. Why are these companies doing research in an area? And when you combine it with non-patent literature, you will have some pointers which will give you some directions of research. So you can do a lot of stuff from simple analytics, but if your client has given you specific objectives, then you have to do it specifically. Can I come again, please? Next slide. Thank you. Now, this is applicant versus date of priority. So you know what is priority date, I assume everyone. Anyone who doesn't know what is priority date? And believe me, I was a teacher, so I can even ask you. If you don't say yes, then I can ask you that. Anyone who doesn't know priority date? Okay. Okay, I'll send my next application to you with 1771 as the date. Okay. Anyhow, so why I need priority date versus applicant? I want to understand who started the research in this area from my cutoff date. So suppose I want to start from 2000. In this case, I have given the cutoff date. So I want to know in 2000 how many people started research on Internet on Things. Okay. So I have put this. The bubble sizes again give the number of documents. So I know from this priority, then I can read these documents and understand what is the technology on Internet on Things were they working on at that time. Okay. So in GPI, when you click on this, it will give you the list of patterns. Okay. Then you read a few of them, abstract, and see what exactly was happening. And then what is your objective? My client's objective may be different. So based on that, I decide whether this is the correct year or I need to go back. Okay, so I can either go back, or the other way to start is I start from 1990. I find 0 patterns and I do it for 10 years and I find where it started. Then from where it started, I take this as the cutoff year and then see what is the landscape of the development of the technology in that area. So that is one way of doing. How do you actually overrun this? A lot more information can be, for example, if you see, suddenly this guy, Samsung Electronics, suddenly filed a lot of patents in 2014. Okay. If it filed a lot of patents in 2014, okay, there should be new launches of the product. Okay. So you can actually, it's all about how do you interpret information by connecting business information with technical information and then correlating. Okay, like one of the major companies you can see implementing this is, if I am correct, Inside View. They do something of this sort, wherein business and technology is met together. There are algorithms to identify what can be done. So, do I need to know? So, I will see all these patterns and understand what Samsung is trying to do in 2014. Okay. I can do my competitor. If I am the competitor of Samsung, I can understand what Samsung is exactly trying to do. Okay, what it is up to. And at the same time, I see that all the major players don't have significant filing. So this gives me a kind of an idea to find out why it happened here. Okay. Likewise, I see TCS. Now TCS was altogether not present. Okay. Suddenly in 2011 or 2010 it appeared. And then the bubble is becoming bigger and bigger. So what did TCS start doing at that time? Okay. What is happening to TCS? What is the research going on in TCS? Get a fair idea of your competitors. So there are many things which you can do. Okay. Requires only one thing, which is common sense. Unfortunately, I don't have. I have a fixed technique. This is kind of a thematic maps. This is using one of the tools, paid tools. Okay, I have taken it from some source. Okay, which is a WIPO report. But this is basically something of clustering of technology in the area. So they make islands according to your clusters. So if you say IP6, WiMAX, okay, wide area network, they will actually make islands, and all the patterns which are around this would be in this island. So you can see how the clustering of the pattern space has done. So it is a visual way of depicting what I was trying to do manually. But this is expensive, so you can actually use simple Excel, PowerPoint, visual stuff. Some open source tools are there. You can actually make a lot of good analytics, or use EPO's GTI. Gino would tell you how to register, okay, and how to get it. So you can. I have prepared all those. Can you